What's off season been like for you?
Been great, man. These kids, one thing we've been trying to do is focus on being better teammates. Um, I think last year the kids they proved to themselves that they can compete at the highest level. Um, they could win big games. They could, they could compete on that big stage. And I think the thing that was holding us back was what kind of teammates we were. And I think that's where a lot of the focus has been this off season is just, you know, everything you do, you're playing for somebody. Last year, I think a lot of times we were playing with somebody, and I think that makes a big difference. And O linemen are blocking for somebody else, and it's just that's one thing we've been stressing this off season, and we got a lot of really good kids on this team. They're invested. We did a couple different things. We did a leadership book study with our captains. We went through two books. 21 Laws of Leadership and one of Tony Dungy's books on leadership. Just talking about being a good leader and being consistent and growing leaders. It's not about what you can do, it's what you can get somebody else to do voluntarily. We had a Big Brother program started where we assigned one of our ninth graders with an older kid, and every week they had to get together on different titles, different prompts, different little simple questions, but just something to tie the older kids and the younger kids together. And when we initially did it, once I gave the list to the younger kids, all right, here's your big brother. And I told all the freshmen, raise your hand if you don't know who your big brother is. And about half the room's hands went up. And I asked the older kids the same thing, raise your hand if you don't know who your younger brother is, and half the hands went up. So at a school this big, with numbers as big as ours, I wanted to make sure that we had something in common with everybody on the team. So, we've just been doing things like that over the off season, and I think it's paying off. We have a really good group of seniors that it means a whole lot to them. They're invested a lot and they put a lot into it. So it's been fun. It's a really fun group to coach.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. What, a school that big, and Spain Park is big. We were out there not too terribly long ago, and my wife had never seen campus, and I said, "Watch this." And we made the loop around the whole school, and she was like, "This is like, small college size." I was like, "I'm telling you." But did you expect a school that big to drop in this last reclassification, 7A down to 6A?
No, I knew we had lost teaching units based on our enrollment. We all knew that. But then when the numbers came out around, you always get those mystery numbers around Thanksgiving. When those came out and we saw them, we were like, whoa, we dropped, we didn't know we dropped 100 students. So I asked the principal and she ran the numbers and it was right. So we knew we'd lost some students, but we didn't think we'd pass the threshold of 6A, 7A. So, we had a big team meeting about it around Thanksgiving before it ever hit, was definite. And we talked about it because it was a discussion I think we needed to have, that our kids are so used to playing the Vestavias, the Trustfuls, the Thompsons, the Hoovers when they, since they were little. It's going to just look different, and we addressed it as a team. Anything that happens in our program, we address as a team. And then there's no hidden, we're transparent and we address it. And, we all kind of, my knee jerk was, man, I wanted to play the big boys, but then you look at enrollment numbers and some of the big boys have twice as many students as us. And we can't control that. So we told the kids there's two things we can't control. And these only these two things go towards classification. Enrollment numbers, decide where you are in 1 through 7A, and where your school is located on a map geographically is where you are in the region. Neither of those two things we can control. So all we can control is getting to work. And so we're playing 3 7A teams still on our schedule. Sparkman, James Clements, and Hoover. So our JV and freshmen are still playing that same region, all those teams. So it's going to be a lot of familiarity, but it's going to be different for us. But there's still good football in this region, so it's not going to be easy by any means.
Yeah. Was that, I think me and you maybe touched on that a little bit this last year, talking about creating schedules and how hard it is to fill a non-region. But do you feel that was important, non-region? I mean, you've still got 3 7A teams and then what, Gardendale at the end. Did you feel that was an important thing to kind of keep that level on the schedule?
There's no doubt. I mean, it's iron sharpens iron, and sometimes you lose. You learn more about your team when you lose compared to when you win. And I wanted to keep playing in big schools, and because we're not too far off from 7-8, but obviously we have to play Hoover like that. That's just that's like putting milk in cereal. Like it just has to happen, right? Like Spain Park has to play Hoover, win or lose, you just got to play them. And then the other, we wanted to travel a little bit, so we're going to Huntsville. Because to make a run in the playoffs, you're going to have to travel. So we're just trying to do some different things that made sense for us. So we feel like we got a good schedule and it's a challenging schedule, and our kids are working their butts off.
Yeah, now, obviously the last few years, I mean, since you've been at Spain Park, it's been 7A Region 3. Now you go to a 6A Region 3 that, we've talked about that region for the last few years, just the depth of it, the competitiveness for playoff spots. Obviously, it's got some shakeup now. I mean, you're looking at what, Ben Russell, Calera, Chelsea dropped with you all down to that region, Chilton County, Helena, Pelham, and you guys. How familiar are you with some of those schools?
Well, I mean, I'm not. I live in Helena, so
Yeah.
my kids go to Helena. My nephew will be a 10th grader on their team next year. So, I mean, I'm familiar with the culture and the people. But in terms of football, I think this region is very coach heavy. I mean, you got somebody like Smitty Grider at Benjamin Russell, who's won a lot of football games at a lot of places. Richie Busby has won a lot of games at Helena and in Fultondale before he got there. Scott Riles at Calera, the new coach the new coach at Calera, has won a state championship. You got Todd Cassidy at Chelsea, who I think is one of the best coaches around this area. He gets so much out of those kids. So I think this region, while it may not be as big of school in numbers, I think it's every Friday night. It's going to be very challenging just because those kids are going to be well coached, and you're going to have to play well to beat them. They're not going to just turn around and beat themselves.
Yeah. What is that adjustment like where like, you've had 2 years where you're like, okay, Peyton Floyd's coming back at Trustful, at quarterback. I've seen him. I know what I'm getting there. Like, how does that adjustment now with like a completely different schedule, completely different personnel? Are you pulling film from last year? Like, is it just a blank slate? How do you kind of approach it?
Yeah, I mean, you have to, especially early in the season, the first few games, every staff is kind of trying to get prepared over the summer for those first few weeks. Once you get to week 3 or 4, you have film to work off of. But, so we have 2 games right back to back, Sparkman and then Hoover, and then a bye week before we play Helena. So, there's going to be some familiarity with Sparkman. We'll just like they're studying us. We'll look at them over the summer, and Hoover with Coach Gilmer. You don't know what you're getting. I mean, I guess you can go back and look and see what they did with Bubba and Bakwe, but is that really going to apply offensively to Hoover now with the 2 quarterbacks they got in? Is that really going to even apply? So, um, there's that's the fun part about coaching, man. They're going to have some wrinkles those first few games that you may not be prepared for, and who knows, we might too. So uh, we'll see. I mean, I think the way our schedule sets up. Like I said, there will be some summer preparation for those first 2. But then I think once the bye week hits, and then we'll have 3 or 4 game films of the teams we're playing, I think it'll kind of settle down and get back to normal.
That bye week in the third week, is that just a product? Do you like it there? Is that a product of just this shuffling and trying to put together a puzzle that is a schedule?
Yeah, I mean, we've at JO we had a bye week on week 5 every time, so we had 5 games of bye week and then 5, and the last couple of years we were able to get that done. But this year our bye week fell on 3, and it's just trying to find games. You're looking for a week 3 or week 10 and who can play, and so that's just kind of how it felt. I don't know. I don't know if there's a right way or good way, bad way, worse way. I don't know, but that's where it falls. So we'll be playing Hoover at the Met on Friday night, and we'll get a week and a half to lick our wounds from those animals they got over there beating up on us a little bit to get ready for Helena.
I got you. Yeah, that's a fun little stretch there right in the middle of the year for y'all. Um, what? So you're going into this is year 3 at Spain Park, right?
Correct.
How do you feel like things are going? Is the program kind of where you want it to be?
So when people ask me that, this is my only thing I really say. I think our program is very healthy. I think there's energy. I think the coaching staff around these kids has been consistent. This is the first time since I've been here we have the same old line coach going into year three from last year. So that's consecutive years. Um, so I think the defensive coordinator, Coach Bush, is still here, and defensive staff guys are here, and there's just a lot of consistency finally, and the kind of the dust settled a little bit. So I think it's healthy. I think our kids are excited. I think our parents are excited. Our youth league's excited. We're down there working with them, trying to get them on board and trying to do whatever we can to help them. And Berry Middle School with Coach Bowden, they either have won the championship or have played for it the last few years, 7th and 8th grade. They're very competitive, and so I think it's healthy from little league all the way up to varsity. And uh, a lot of that goes back to administration. Our principal, Dr. Amanda Esslinger, this is her second year here, and we had a new athletic director, Josh Donaldson, and when everybody's on the same page, pulling the same way, it makes it easy. Easier, because ain't nothing easy. But and it's we're all on the same team. There's times me and the principal don't see eye to eye on things. I love her to death, and but she's good people. I mean, she wants the best. She wants to make sure we do it right. That doesn't nothing. Nothing ever comes back on us later, and I can respect that. She's honest, and if you're honest, I can handle it. And the moral of the story is I don't really have to agree with her. Kind of like my wife. Like I don't have to agree. That's how it's going to be done. So once I swallowed that pride, I'm like, all right, let's me and you can work together. Let's do it. Because she's the boss and she makes things happen. But she wants us to succeed. So whenever you have the admin, the parents, the little leagues involved, the middle school, like everybody's working together. And like our middle school coaches came to our varsity practice the other day and jumped out there with us. And Coach Bowden just goes over their O-line and he just jumps in and starts coaching. And it's a very healthy program. And our kids are starting to understand that we can do so much together compared to having a bunch of individuals, and we've got 6 kids currently with Division I offers, and our kids are getting exposure, and uh, I don't know. I think it's a really good place to be right now, and we're loving on these kids. And at the end of the day, how these kids are going to be treated, they're going to be treated like they're our own kids. Well, my son gets to play high school football or baseball, whatever he wants to do or whatever. I want him treated like we're trying to treat these kids. If he succeeds, I want somebody to be right there loving on him and congratulating him. But if he does wrong, I want them to be held accountable too. And we're going to treat them like their own, like our own, and like our own sons. Nothing more, nothing less. So, our kids are going to be held accountable. Period. And if they can't be held accountable by me and our coaching staff, good luck in 10, 15 years when life holds you accountable, because life's going to be a lot worse than any coach can ever do. So I feel like, I don't know, I went on a little rant right there, but I feel like I think we're it's healthy, man. I think our kids are working their butts off. They're surrounded by really good coaches and loving on them, and it's consistent.
Yeah. You mentioned, healthy. I mean, it seems like I don't go a day this spring, this summer without seeing, so and so's got another scholarship offer. You mentioned 6 guys have D1 offers. I mean, who are some of these guys, and what are they doing well to attract the next level?
Well, here's the thing that some parents and people just kind of don't understand, even our kids. There's 3 things that get you recruited. One, your God-given measurables. So if you don't have God-given measurables that no coach or anybody can take away nor give you,
Right.
That's 1. 2, your grades. If you don't have grades, it doesn't matter how good you are. None of that matters. Don't matter how big you are. None of that matters. And the third thing is what your film says. Results while playing football. And what our approach is with these kids, we try to make sure those 3 things kind of put them in a little bubble, and that's what you push to coaches. This day and age, social media has gotten what it is, and I try to make sure our kids understand, like, you cannot really make yourself, you can't create your own relevance. You either have the measurables, have the grades, and have football film to show, or you don't. And our kids, we have a policy here that whenever our kids gets an offer, and this has been my policy since Jackson Olin, and we had 4 All-Americans there. When a kid gets an offer from a school, we are very quick to make a graphic and put it out there and promote it right then. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. It's, to me, it's never been a good look for kids to promote, thanks, I've gotten my 17th offer from so and so, because my mindset, I'm always worried about that locker room. I'm
Yeah.
always worried about the heartbeat of a program. And when you're sitting here promoting yourself, saying I've got my 18th offer, and there's teammates that might be the locker next to you is just dying for one offer. I think that just creates some things in the locker room that you can never really put the cap back on the bottle once it opens.
Yeah.
So what we do is we promote our kids. And now once we make the initial post, you can share it, you can tweet it, you can put it wherever you want to. But the initial tooting of your horn comes from us. And a lot of coaches out there, a lot of college coaches respect it, and they appreciate it. That you're getting a kid from here who there's an ounce of humility there, that he couldn't have gotten that offer had the running backs not done what they did. He couldn't have gotten that offer had the D line not made him throw it a little bit quicker and he got an interception. You couldn't have done it without the other guys in your locker room. So we're going to promote our kids from the highest mountaintop, because and that's just how we've always done it.
Yeah.
With those three things, you got God-given measurables, you got the grades, and you got football film. That's it. Those three things. Not if I tweet a picture of him in his wrestling uniform. That's it. I mean, I guess it's fun to see on the online, but the meat and potatoes with college coaches, because that's who offers scholarships. Not me, not parents, not our staff. College coaches give your kids opportunities, and that's it. Now the Twitter world, there are a lot of guys out there trying to help promote kids, and there's nothing wrong with that. But in terms of what's coming out of our program, if you notice what comes out of our program on social media, it's meat and potatoes. It's the stuff that I feel like it matters. If a kid gets an offer, that matters. And we're gonna keep promoting them. And like I said, we've got some kids with some big time offers. We got some other ones with small offers because everybody's different. But we're gonna push our kids to the end of the world because I'm proud of them, and that's what we're here to do. These kids aren't here to serve us. We're here to serve them, and that's a part of the service.
Is it like, and I would imagine handling it that way, and I like that way personally. Is it hard at all? Like a kid gets an offer, like let's say a kid gets his biggest offer. Is it hard for him to wait on that team post, or like is there an understanding of like, hey, we're gonna shoot this out and then you can go wild with it?
Yeah, man. So that happened the other day. Brock Bradley, our quarterback, who's I'm gonna go on record and say he's one of the top 5 quarterbacks in his class in the country. I don't care if there's a 6'5" kid out of North Carolina. I don't care if there's a 6'4" kid out of California. Like Brock is, he's different. Like there's very few quarterbacks who truly have elite arms. Very few. Elite. I mean, there's a lot of good arms. Elite in terms of accuracy, ball placement, quick release, arm strength. His is elite. There are very few less. There's a group that's less than that there are elite arms, but also elite athletes, right? You might have an elite athlete who has a good arm. You might have an elite arm that's a good athlete, but there's very few who are elite arms, elite athletes. He's both. And there's even very few of those guys who have the it factor. Very few. And he has it. So anyway, make a long story short, last week he picked up his first ACC offer. Wake Forest came in, they watched him throw, and they were like, Coach, he's the real deal. I said, I know, I've been telling you that. So they offered him, and we talked about, he knows how we do the recruiting thing. So anyway, I told him I was at my son's baseball practice, and I texted him. He texted me and told me, I said, congratulations. I said, look, I'll get the graphic out tonight, as soon as I get home. And anyway, about 30 minutes later, I came to my phone, here he posted his own offer. I'm like, Brock, dude. So anyway, I texted him. He's like, you want me to take it down? My bad. I said, no, don't take it down. I'm like, it's not a red flag. But so we had to go back and explain. And we had another kid do the same thing. And they're like, Coach, I'm sorry, my bad. So it's a much bigger picture to me, because we're still going to promote our kids. God bless. You can tag whoever you want to tag. We're going to promote our guys. but it's just something about the original post coming from our school that college coaches respect. There's an ounce of humility there that I feel like high school football is. That's what it's about. And once I explained to them, I said, guys, there's guys in your locker room who would die for an offer. They would die for it, and let us toot your horn because we're going to toot it. God bless. I'm going to stand on every stage and toot y'all's horn for you. We're going to do that. So it's not going to be, we're not going to hold anything back. We're not going to withhold it. But you can be an All-American and do this process. We got 4 kids. We got a kid finishing up at Bama. We got a kid at Colorado. We've got kids that graduated from Auburn, and he's in the CFL now. Like, it can be done. And it just means a lot to college coaches that they look at our program, they know there's a humble heart to it that matters to me. So, we've had kids that, they get so excited. I told Brock, I said, look, man, you were so excited. You got your first ACC offer. You wanted, and I said, look, I don't want to mean to like piss on your parade, dude. Like, I didn't, but here's the reason why. It's a big picture. And he obviously understood it, so, but as soon as we make the graphic, man, they post it all over the place. And, we're proud of all of our guys who, get those opportunities.
That's awesome. How do you feel about with guys you've got coming back? You mentioned Brock. You've got some other key pieces coming back on both sides. How are you feeling about 2024 coming up?
Well, I think any team starts with a quarterback. Any team start with. I'm in the hallway, guys. Sorry, lunch. Sorry. No, any team starts with a quarterback. If you got a quarterback, you got a chance. And we feel like Brock gives us a chance. We've got, our 25 tailback, Dakari Shanks, just committed to Troy last week. He's got a chance to have a really big senior year. We got another tailback, CJ Calley, who's a 2027 kid that's picked up Ole Miss, Auburn, and he's going to be a national recruit, and he's developing and growing up, and he's got a chance. We got a pretty good offensive line that some big boys on there that have a chance to hopefully have a good year. And we got a tight end who I think has got a chance to be a Power 5 kid. He's 6'7", 220, Henry Gregory, and he played last year. He didn't play as a 10th grader. He played last year, his first year with us, and he's put on about 25 pounds in the offseason, and he is all of 6'7", and he's doing some really good things this spring. So I think offensively, we're going to build it around the line, the running backs, and Brock, because Brock is he's a special kid. He's a special talent. He's a special person, and it means a lot to him. And defensively, we've got a bunch of seniors on the D line. So we lost a handful of guys. So I think we got 7 new starters on defense. But Coach Bush and those guys over there doing a great job of figuring out what we're going to be good at doing. And I don't know. The thing I think that's going to set this team apart from previous teams is that locker room. That locker room is healthy. I mean, we have our moments just because you get 120 boys around each other at one point in time, you're going to have drama. But at the end of the day, man, these kids they love each other. Sometimes they might not like each other, and they're not all going to be best friends. When you have 120 kids, you're going to have natural cliques, natural groups of friends who have grown up together. But there's a level of respect there this year for their teammates that just might not have been there in previous years. Try.
We're almost done. We're almost done.
Oh, you're good,
what are you kind of in that same vein? It might be the same answer, but what are you looking forward to most about 2024? Is it like something like that and kind of seeing it develop and progress, or is it something else?
2024. I mean, so last year our big thing we talked about was moving the needle. Like, nobody trains like our guys. Our kids train like heavyweights. I tell them that you could take a kid, you pick a program and put them in our program, and for 2 weeks they're going to be very, very sore. And we lift year round, 4 days a week, nonstop. We max every 6 weeks. We max 2 times during the season, and we're stronger in November than we were in August because it's consistent. So last year, the big thing we talked about was moving the needle. Like, all this work is great, but at some point in time, results have to show. This is a result-driven world. This is a result-driven business. You got to win. You could lovey-dovey and, and all that, but you got to win. So I think the big thing for our kids this year is let's see what we can do when we do it together. We know we're going to work hard like that. You don't have a choice. We're going to work. Nobody's going to outwork us. But what happens if we all do this thing together? What happens if everybody's a good teammate? What happens if when a kid gets an offer, you're truly happy for them? What happens if somebody else scores and you're just as excited as you would be if you scored, if you get a sack, and compared to somebody else getting a sack? And what happens if we do it together? And that's what we've been really stressing all off season. And that's what I think high school football is about. I don't think I think high school football roster enhancement, I don't think it comes from the portal. I think it comes from what you do on a day-to-day basis with your locker room. That's what high school football is to me. I've grown up maybe I'm old school. Maybe I'm the son of a coach. I cut my teeth behind my dad, Jim Vakakes, David Powell, Bob Newton, Gerald Gann. Those guys, that's all I knew coming up. And that's where I feel like you get better. You don't get better with your roster adding to it. You get better with your roster is developing it. And that's kind of what we try to do. And I'm going down that hill, man. And I think it could be done right. It's not as easy. All right. Like it's not as easy to do it now. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's easy, but at the end of the day, it's right. And we try to tell these kids we're going to do things right and love on them. And look, here's the deal. None of these kids belong to us, right? None of the kids, they're not our property. I tell the kids, my life isn't mine. My life, I owe to the good Lord and my wife and kids. That's why I'm here. That's my life isn't mine. So how in the world is somebody else's child in our football program mine? It's not about ownership. That's not what it is. We pour so much into these kids to try to help them. And parents can make their own decisions. Parents, that's what life's about. Making your own decisions on what you think is best for your family, for your son, for your daughter, whatever. And I can respect that. But at the end of the day, I know what we're doing here is right. And we're going to hold kids accountable. I mean, we're going to treat these kids like they're my own son. Nothing more, nothing less. And I don't know. I like where we are. I love our coaches, and I think we got a chance. Coach Gary, I got a visitor. He just walked up. You might be able to ask him something, and if he says something crazy, man, just cut
What's
it out of the
up?
video. He was walking by, and I said, "Come here, sit down." So I don't know if you've had a guest on one of
No,
these
let's.
before, but you hadn't. We're the first. How about that?
How about that? Let's do it. What's up, Brock?
All right, we can't hear you.
Oh man.
There
What
you go.
about now?
All right, now we got you now.
What's going on, Brock? How are you?
What's up? I'm doing good.
How's your off season been?
It's been great. I feel good about what we got coming back. It's been great. Spring's been good.
Yeah. You looking forward to playing in 6A after a couple years here in 7A?
Yes, sir. I was kind of bittersweet at first about it, but once we kind of talked about it and settled down, I feel good about our situation and like I said, the guys we got coming back. I feel like it's going to be a good year.
What's your off season workout type stuff like? Like what do you kind of get into to keep yourself preparing for a season?
Yes, sir. So, myself, I do things, outside of this, what we do here at school. But, like Coach V was saying, we're just focused on putting our token in every day, coming and lifting hard and, practicing hard and, giving it all we got.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on, Gary. Hold on. Don't let him fool you, man. He's out there on. Oh no, don't no. So after practice, it's nothing for him to stay late, throw to receivers. It's nothing for him to show up on Sundays. He goes to QB country. He goes Demetri Price quarterback elite academy. He's going to, I mean, don't listen to that. Brock puts in a lot of time, and I think these kids see that, and coaches see that, and just people see that. And when somebody, when one of the best players is one of the hardest workers, you've heard it before on any team, you got a chance. And Brock, his dad, Scott and Kathy, doing a great job with him, and he knows what's important, and He puts a lot of time and effort into developing as a quarterback, as a person, as a leader. So I'm glad he's ours.
Yeah. Let me ask you one more thing, Brock. Coach mentioned kind of, throwing the ball and your accuracy and that kind of thing. What's an example of the most accurate you've been? Like if I stood a certain amount away and put an apple on my head, can you knock it off without giving me a black eye? Like what are we talking?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think, I know where to put the ball. I try to put it there. So, I think that comes from, hard work, on weekends when no one's watching. I'm out there with my pops, just, repetition, throw after throw, just working on, placing the ball in tight windows. And, I think it comes from that.
And speaking on that, his dad, Scott, I've seen him out there throwing one time. He had his shirt off, getting tan. And I know Brock was wearing his arms and hands out because it's not fun when he's really training and trying to get, Scott was out there getting his daggum hands bloodied, but they're always doing something. And you can tell that there's a lot of investment in the Brock and his future.
Yeah, you got to do what you got to do to help the kid. That's right. That's right. So I'll get both of you out of here on this. Brock, you've been there a while. Coach V, you're going into year 3. Just for both of y'all, especially you, Coach V, best thing about Spain Park, just the community, the school, doesn't have to be on the football field. What's the best thing about that place?
It's the people, man. I mean, there's a lot of successful people in our community that know what it takes to be successful, and they have heart. They care about everybody. They care about other people. And, anytime you have a community, there's going to be cliques of people. That's just life. That's how it is. But everybody wants the best for their kids. And there's a lot of support. Like I said, I mentioned the Little League, the middle school, there's a lot of support. There's a lot of pride. There's something to it, to being a Jag, to a lot of people, it means a lot. So I think that's, everybody, when I got here, I had some coaching buddies say, man, Tim, I don't know, man, it's not a good job. I don't know, man, that's not a good job. And I'm like, what makes a good job? Like what, what I'm saying? Like a lot of people look at a good job as having all the eggs on your side and being tilted in your favor. Like I don't, a good job is if there's good people there, if they want to work, if kids were, that to me, that's what a good job is. Well, I had a buddy call once we went 6, say, oh, now it's a good job. Oh, like it was a good job then because there's good people. It's a good job now because there's good people. Like that doesn't matter to me. I think, but just the community, man, the people that, like I said, they want to be successful, and we're trying to do all we can to give them a football program to be proud of and to jump behind and rally behind, and because we're going to need the community to help push us across the finish line, and that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to bridge that gap from 5-year-old Jags to 18-year-old Jags and all the families in between. So to answer your question, what makes this place great is the people.
Cool. What about you, Brock?
I'd kind of, piggyback off what he said. Just, as far as, the community, the people we have in our locker room, it's something that, we try to really emphasize, like just being good people, being good teammates, on and off the field. I think that goes a long way,
Yeah. So which class am I keeping you out of right now? How long can I keep you out of class here?
No, you actually caught me at a good time. I was just, eating my lunch. So I'll probably go back in there and finish what I started.
I got you. Well, I appreciate both of you hopping on this today, and I know I'll see y'all this fall. So appreciate you, Coach Brock. Appreciate you, and I'll see y'all in 6A Region 3 this fall.
Man, hey, we're playing Ramsey in a spring game at our place Friday night, 7 o'clock.
That's right.
With the movie to 7.
It did.
7 o'clock Friday night
7 o'clock.
At home. And so if you're not busy, skip your movie night. Bring your family, and you might have to buy a ticket. I might get you on the guest list. How about that?
Okay, there you go. Does my media pass work in May? Will it work in May?
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, and if the plays we're calling ain't working, just come grab the headsets and tell Brock to run something. If what we're doing ain't working, man, just come call something.
Ooh, I like this. What can I call? I like it.
Pick something, man. Hey, if what we're doing ain't working, you got the green light, buddy.
I'm going to clip that. I'm using that. That's awesome.
Fine. Do it.
Appreciate it. I appreciate you guys. Thank you both.
You got it, Gary. Thanks, man.
See you later.